So Rainbow Unicorn Land's very own city of Perth was rocked by a racist atrocity a few days ago. The resurgence of the "it's okay to be white" meme. It was effective as it was all those years ago, it seems. Who'd have thought? Actions from some of the politicians and councillors, as well as a few of the media outlets that have decided to cover the story, really sum up why the meme was initially successful. To begin with, Swinney, who went on to say that we must stand together to resist this unacceptable material. Truly remarkable how John Swinney deems a piece of paper that says it's okay to be white as unacceptable material, but sees no issue with a curriculum that promotes pornography and masturbation and anal sex to children and teenagers. Years since this meme first surfaced from the boards of 4chan and into the SJW strongholds of American college campuses, with the sole purpose behind its creation being to showcase the hypocrisy of SJWs as well as the mainstream media. Really any plausible excuse that I can think of for how a so-called anti-racist group or organisation near 3 years later can claim that the slogan is a far-right trope. I mean, it has to be said. To say, sad and angry that even one Perth resident has been made to feel like this. We're a welcoming and diverse city. I have seen quite a lot ripped off already. We ask this person to come forward and talk about their motivation. You don't know their motivation, but yet you're implying they're white supremacists and or far right. Society, after being used by white supremacists on internet message boards and social media, and was later put on college campuses in the USA by far right protesters. After 3 years, you can get it so wrong. You are severely misinformed, or you know you're lying. Never rose to prominence via white supremacists, and it was not plastered around college campuses by far right protesters. Messages who have not been identified have been blasted by local campaign group Perth Against Racism. The group said they have already been contacted by the people of colour who live in Perth, who say the stickers have made them feel sickened, disgusted, unsafe by the terrifying attitudes expressed in a time of heightened racial tension. A spokesperson for the group said, "We would like to was behind this to come forward and explain what their motivation is, if not white pride." I'm entirely convinced that it wasn't Perth Against Racism, but on the off chance that it was just some random shit poster, decided to put some of these posters up in order to action, then it's safe to assume they've been well and truly satisfied with the histrionics on display. Disturbing. And we've contacted the police. Never not to use any racial slurs, but the connotation is there. It's okay to be white. What connotation? Called experts at Perth Against Racism were able to decipher the connotations. Stand by anyone who feels uncomfortable or unsafe after reading these, and would urge them to contact us on Facebook if they'd like to speak. Pull the other one. Peter Barrett said that this is despicable hate speech. It is covert racism disguising white supremacist views. People should be in no doubt. This is no innocuous joke. End of the wedge in an attempt by racists to get their foot in the door. I think covert racists who were attempting to get their foot in the door, then it's safe to assume the sign have done a lot more for their cause than the signs themselves. Not one. Mark my words on that one. Create fear in our city. Perth has made real progress in demonstrating that people of all colours, nationalities and ethnicities are welcome. It's worrying. I have seen about 10 of them, and I have people messaging me to say it is outside their home. Someone has gone to a lot of effort to do this. Oh yeah, must have taken them a good 10 minutes. Who did it were because it is making minority groups very worried. Oh, get why. There needs to be more of a conversation about why this is done, and I have spoken to the police who are looking into it. I'm interested to know how they have made minority groups in Perth feel as well, because they are worried racism in the city will be ramped up. Know what the motivations behind the person or people that put those posters up, then surely it wasn't you yourself. Then surely you should be taking it upon yourself to spread around the rumour that it was neo-Nazis and racism is on the rise. It could be argued that the claims being made in relation to a Nazi group being in the vicinity of Perth will do a hell of a lot more to worry minority groups than a totally innocuous poster will ever do. The population of Perth don't discriminate anyone. We are an accepting people, as has been shown in the past. People have been ripping them off, which shows the feeling of people in Perth. The politicians have also hit out with the message being spread on fair city streets. I'm disgusted to see that someone has put up these posters. The people of Perth will want nothing to do with these individuals, and I would encourage anyone who has any information to speak to Police Scotland. Ahern, a Conservative councillor, stating, "I am surprised and quite alarmed to see these posters. I don't know who has done this or why." Since the overhaul of the education system, which has seen the Scottish Government working with anti-racist campaigners to crack down on so-called racism in schools, might have something to do with it. Proclaim well ascribed to critical race theory and whiteness theory, etc., etc. This doesn't exist, and the only people that can't be racist are white individuals. Failing that, maybe it's got something to do with the never-ending namby-pamby pandering in relation to immigration, diversity and inclusion, etc., etc. No thing as native Scots anymore. Anybody can come here and be just as Scottish as a native Scot. That might have something to do with it. Scotland are nothing more than a political community. That might have something to do with it.
And is a place where people should feel safe and secure and welcome, regardless of where they come from. If you choose to live in Scotland, then as far as I'm concerned, you're Scottish. Whether you were born here and 3 generations of your family were born here, or whether you've only lived here for a few months.
That's got something to do with it. Disturbing that these posters are in the city totally condemn the display of any racist or discriminatory posters anywhere in our city, and I would urge anyone who is responsible for this to contact the police, etc., etc. The EU campaign group Perth for Europe has said this is linked to last week's general election result, adding, "We need to make it clear how unacceptable this is and work with other groups such as Perth Against Racism who are working hard to combat these attitudes that on admission never existed before until the general election just passed." Themselves in the foot as far as I'm concerned, because the only across the UK, all the brainwashed progressives seem to think that Boris Johnson being elected indicates the rise of the far right, the rise of the neo-Nazis, etc., etc. So it stands to reason, in their firm delusional belief, Boris Johnson's rise to prominence would be swiftly followed by versions of the far right groups. In that sort of political environment, amongst most within that political environment, it's safe to assume that individual groups could get together effectively and fabricate their own incident, and that incident would generate the tension of an incident. Genuine incident could generate. Peace.